G'day guys, Keno from Supercoach Spuds here, talking about some budget options for those of you who are looking to complete your team either this week or in the next few weeks. I know a lot of coaches out there, including myself, are going to struggle to, get Neils and Dangerfields and especially Bontempellis, so unfortunately we have to look a bit cheaper if we want to make it to full primo, and I'm one of them. So these are just some budget options in the backline, mids, and forwards. So starting us off in the backline, under 460k for me. If you've got the money there, you're probably looking at Ridley. Safest bet out of all these names here. Hearn is an option, but injuries are a concern for Hearn. But he's been taking lots of kickouts and been a premium for years now. He's had, aside from his injury game, he's had scores of 122, 118, 117, 108, 105, 92 and 84. So he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but at this stage in the year, trades are tight. I don't know if you can bring in an injury risk like Hearn, just the 8 games played, but really solid player if you already have Ridley and need another budget option. Harms, probably wouldn't touch, just the 7 games. Alia's one, average of 92, I guess you could, but for that price you may as well go Ridley. I think he's the safer bet. Williams, wouldn't touch him, his role changes week to week. Lukosius, could lean towards Lukosius. Again, the same, there's other options for just 15k more, being Ridley, Hearn. Jack Bowes is back. I don't know if we see Lukosius do this every week, but yeah, we'll see. Houston, good player. He's had troubles with injury. He's another option that you can lean towards. 3-round average of 99. He's got a good fixture towards the end of the year. He's one you could look to bring in. For me, it's a no, because he does have concerns with injuries and also his role. He moves up and down the ground, forward, back. So yeah, never too sure on Houston. He does have a big ceiling though, but a little inconsistent for me. Sard, wouldn't touch him. Pretty mediocre this year. Duday, no, he's been playing lockdown. And then no one else here you should really be going after. Maybe Trent McKenzie. He's actually been surprising. It's a risky pick, Trent McKenzie, but I wouldn't go anywhere near that, but could pay off if you're, slightly short of Houston, Hearn or Ridley. But there's one main real budget guy that I'm looking at, and that is Nick Haynes. So Nick Haynes has a great role now for the Giants. Phil Davis is back. Nick Haynes scored 96 this week, coming off 100 and 118 last week. So he's playing that 7th defender role now, which is really handy. 2.4% of teams. I think that goes up quite a bit this round. He is very good value. Averaged over a ton last year. So I think he's one a lot of people look to bring in purely because of his price. If my backline wasn't already finished, I'd probably look to complete it with Nick Haynes. I do think he can average 90, 95 plus from here on, and yeah, that value is just too good to pass up for someone that was top 6 defender for the majority of last season. And then everyone else below Nick Haynes is pretty Supercoach irrelevant, and I would not touch. Okay, moving on to the midfielders. Where are we? Midfielders below 500k. So for those that can't, get Neil, Petrarca, Parrish, all players that we would like to get in, but can't. You could there's not many options sub 500 that really stand out. There's some really good pods, but yeah, none of which you go must have. But yeah, the first one that comes to mind, Ben Keys, super consistent all year, averaging 100, high score of 152, low score of 76. Pretty consistent from Ben Keys, and against weaker midfields he tends to go huge. So Carlton this week, he's got the Hawks again where he scored 152 earlier, and he finishes off with North. So that could actually be a decent pod for less than 500k, Ben Keys. Greenwood, probably not for me. O'Meara, injury concern. Langford, yeah, look, you probably, after what Stringer did, you probably would stay away from Langford now, purely because Stringer was so dominant. He looks like he's got the role in the midfield until Shield comes back, so that's unfortunate. Langford did play a lot of wing. Sloan, injury risk. Kennedy, mediocre. Seedsman, up and down. Tim Kelly hasn't been the same since he left the Cattery. Ellis, wouldn't touch him. There's not many other names here. I would go Mitch Duncan, but of course he's out for the year. Real shame. Cripps, probably not. Only the one good game, one or two in the last few weeks. So there's not many good names here. The only one which you could go is Matt Rao. Rao's going to lose a lot more money this week. He'll be sub 400. You can wait another week. I think I will. I'm not going to get Rao this week. I'll wait at least a week. But yeah, I think I'll hold until he has a good game and looks convincing to bring in for less than 400k. So if you're desperate this week, Rao's a pretty good option. We saw what he can do last year in just 5 games. I reckon he's been easing into it this year. You know, they've been playing him half forward. I think he gets that permanent midfield spot back in the next few weeks. And yeah, so I think Rao's pretty good value maybe in 2 weeks' time. Chera, another good value pick, but a bit up and down. Okay, and then everybody else here, very mediocre. There's one more name I want to talk about, which is an ultra risky player, but sub 300k. You know, you can't really go too wrong when you're picking players that cheap at this point in the year. Matt de Boer. I was very surprised. Not only did he tag Walsh, but he also collected a lot of the ball himself. So if you're just super tight on budget, can't afford Rao, can't afford anyone 400k plus, the only real option is de Boer, and it's just a silly option. If you have to do it, do it. You know, he'll score 40 one week, could score 120. You know, could be anything with de Boer. I'm not going to touch him, definitely not, but very outlandish pick there. Not many people would be doing that. Again, anyone under that sort of 400k mark, it's almost just worth bringing in Luke Edwards. Okay, on to the Ruckman. Now, by this point in the year, you should have Gawn and Grundy. They are the two clear R1 and R2. But if you don't, some other options for me. Darcy, he's been in good form, but Riley O'Brien. If you can't afford Grundy or Gawn, I'd definitely go Riley O'Brien. He's come good at the right time of the year. 3-round average of 124. Looks really solid for the Crows at the moment. If you're just short of ROB, Hickey and Goldstein are very reliable, and then everyone after that, there's no point bringing in. In my opinion, maybe Draper, but too big of an injury risk at this point in the year. If you're looking at Draper, chances are you're tight on trades, and my bet is he misses at least another week from here on. So I'd stay clear of Draper until we see him get through this year and a full preseason next year, and then he could be a nice pick. And finally, onto the forwards. So we're a little bit expensive here, so we'll drop this a bit. Okay. Sub 500, there's still some good options. Dale had a rough game, but against a good side, against the Cats. He'll bounce back. Langford, probably not anymore because of what Stringer did. Side bottom, no, not really too relevant anymore. Just going to get you 80s to 90s most weeks. Hind played really well. Hind is probably the one forward I wish I had at the moment, even over Toby Green. Both of them in really good form at the moment, and Toby Green has a ridiculous fixture. He could do anything from here on, and wish I had him. I don't like him that much, but yeah, really good player. Around the 450k mark, Tom McDonald, I keep underrating him. I don't know why, but yeah, not for me. Zach Bailey, 3-round average of 101. Look, you could do it. It's a little bit risky. He's a good player, but Neil's back. He won't be getting much mid-time, and he plays Geelong this week, so unlikely to score big. Peanut Laddams, definitely not now that Lycett's back. Robbie Gray, out for the year, I believe, with that injury. Jeremy Cameron, playing the Lions, yeah. Harris Andrews probably goes to him, so I don't know about that one. Taron Thomas is one, which I like. Pretty consistent. 3-round average of close to 90. Gives you 75, 80 plus every week. Not for me. Maybe for you if you can't afford, Hind, Dale. But, yeah. Taron Thomas could be an interesting one, but, Cunnington, Simkin, they've actually got a solid midfield, North. I think he plays more forward than midfield time for the rest of the year. Now, one I've had my eye on is Taylor Walker. And you might think I'm crazy because he's out of form compared to how he started the year. But Carlton this week, he's got the Bombers round 17. Who knows if Francis is back? He could be playing on anyone. They don't have many key defenders there. He's got the Hawks round 20. And if you are to make a grand final, he's up against North Melbourne, where he could do anything. So Texas one to keep an eye on. Not many other options here. Impey, look, see how he goes this week. He's been a bit inconsistent lately. I probably wouldn't go near him. Heaney, no. Bit of a trap. Had a few good games. Everyone jumped on him. Yeah, not for me. And injury is a risk with Heaney. Danaher, no. Norton, 17 points. No, thank you. No one else here really stands out. Okay. Jake frickin' Stringer. 4 goals. Plenty of centre bounce attendances. 180 points. Gee, what a game from Stringer. I don't know if I can bring him in. Like, if we look at his form, he is ridiculously up and down. He's had 2 20s in there, a 40, 2 90s, 2 80s, 124, 180. You don't know what you will get from Stringer. Solid fixture. Crows, North, Gold Coast and Collingwood to finish the year. But there's no chance he averages close to a ton for me. Yeah. Good game. Don't get me wrong. It was against the Hawks. They've got Shield coming back in the next few weeks. Way too up and down for me. I wouldn't go there, but if you're desperate and you think it could work and you think he can do that more, by all means go for it. But I can't bring myself to that risk at this point. No one else really here for me. Rozzy, 2 up and down. Really good player. Needs to get midfield time though. That's about it. Yeah. Barometer, definitely not. Yeah, I don't think there's any good forwards at all for 300k. Anyways, those were some of the options. So if I had to give a suggestion of the best budget option for every line, I'd probably say Ridley for the backs, but if you don't have Ridley, definitely Nick Haynes, 7th defender now that Davis is back, so he's running loose, he's taking intercept marks, it's what you want from Haynes. The mids, I'd probably wait a week or two and go Rowell. There are some good budget options in the 500Ks, but if you don't have that money, I'd be looking at Rowell in a few weeks' time for less than 400k. The rucks, all teams should have Gawn and Grundy, but yeah, Riley O'Brien for me is the next best. And if you can't afford O'Brien, I'd go Draper. Big injury risk, but really solid player, Draper. And the forwards for me, Toby Green's still well priced. It's probably your last week to get him if you're on a budget. I'll say Toby Green or Tex. I actually like the look of Tex at this point. Anyways, guys, those were just some budget options for those of you who are tight on cash at this point. That's all from me. Cheers.